Hello everyone, a very good evening to y'all. I'm Shadini Kalansurya and we are back with ITP Guide 2.0. ITP Guide was first launched by MS Club of SLIIT with the lead of Gihan Iyer after discussing with Dr. Nuwan Kodagoda sir and Mrs. Utpala Samarakon madam to help y'all with the second year second semester module ITP. Last year, MS Club of SLIIT was able to carry out 2 sessions with over 500 participants, and that was clearly a success. Usually students add their academic projects to LinkedIn, and unlike the other years, there was a massive improvement in the ITP project where they have used industry trending technologies, best practices when it comes to full stack development, cloud implementations, and many other amazing technologies. With all that being said, we have Jonathan, the MS Club president, here with us today to give you a brief introduction. Hi, Jonathan. The screen is yours.
So it's great to see everyone here. I think we have around 700 participants today, and kudos to the team for organizing this for the second time. Some of you may know that this is the second time we are going to organize ITP Guide, and it was the first time was last year when Gia and I organized it. The main reason it being since the pandemic just hit, and the second year students needed our support to make their ITP project better, and that's why we thought, okay, we could do something else for the juniors, and did it for them. Right now, those second years, they are moved into the third year with the experience they have gained so far. They want to do something for you all, for the current second year students. So they have spent a lot of their time and they've dedicated a lot to make sure that this event is very useful for everyone here. So a great part, like a great deal of dedication goes to them. Even like input from the executive committee of MS Club was very less in this, and the whole thing has been exactly organized by the current students of the MS Club of SLIIT, and I'm very proud to say that they've done an excellent job over there. So as all of you know, this is the time, this session will be there for another 3 hours. So take the maximum use of this time, because those who are gonna do this session for you all, they're very experienced and they've already have the knowledge of what the ITP module, how it works, and they already have their experience. So get the maximum use out of that. I just want to remind everyone that the students who are going to explain after, like during this session, are not part of the marking panel, so they will not be able to judge your project or give marks to you. So don't message them asking for marks and things. Like we as MS Club of SLIIT are not part of the marking panel. We are only here to help you all. As seniors, we see that it is our duty to help all our juniors. So make sure that you don't also message them personally or disturb them unnecessarily if your code is not working or anything of that sort, because they are also quite busy at this moment. A lot of the third year students are doing internships and they might not be able to handle like 500 people messaging them if there's a single debugger in their code. So, but you can still ask for any resources or anything else to learn, and they'll be providing a lot of resources for you to learn. But debugging and a lot of solving issues must be from your side, because we can only guide you. We can't be always checking how your code is going to work. So getting good marks will only depend on your effort. This session here right now, which security students are going to do, is broadening your mind and introducing you to new concepts. The first year you might have studied in IWT like only PHP, HTML, and CSS. Right now, what they're going to do is they're going to broaden that aspect of yours and introduce you to new technologies, new languages, and it's up to you to put into the effort and research a lot after this session to get good marks for this. Yeah, so that's all I have to say. And a very important thing is, which has been happening for a lot of years in SLIIT, there are some students who would outsource their project and ask someone else to do it, like by paying them, which means that they don't do the project, they just pay someone else and let them do this project. Please don't do that. Leave us at ethics. Ethically, it's not good to do. It's unfair, first of all. But whoever is going to do that, whichever team will be doing that, it will be a massive disadvantage to you. Because right now, this ITP project is the time for you to explore and to assess, like to see where you stand right now, like what is your programming knowledge right now. And if you're not good at it, it's okay. Like take your time now and try to improve it. Don't outsource it or like don't pay anyone else to do, because by the end of the day, everyone here is paying for a degree, right? And we have to get the maximum use out of the degree. And ITP project is one of the most important projects in your SLIIT career which you'll be doing. So try your level best to do it as a team itself. Like all the support will be provided by us in this initial guide, and after that, it will be a lot on your own to do. So finally, I would like to thank all the speakers here today for doing this session out of their busy schedule. As I said, everyone here is doing an internship and everyone is busy with the work, but they still volunteered and did most of the things on their own to make sure that all the participants here will get a complete, very good output. And yeah, that's it. Shadini?
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you for always being there with us. And all of us who are organizing the ITP Guide 2.0 was once in the audience like y'all. And that's what MS Club of SLIIT wants. We hope we'll be able to see y'all with the next ITP Guide as a speaker or as a member of the organizing committee. And MS Club of SLIIT brings you the best. ITP Guide 2.0 is broken down into 3 sessions. Today we are having the awareness session, and in another week's time we'll be having another session where we'll be use GitHub to create a small project using MERNstack, and after evaluations we'll have another session to show how to finalize the project and how to take care of the documentation, and it will be more like a Q&A session. Today we have an amazing lineup set to help y'all with the ITP project, and we hope we'll be able to solve most of your confusions. Please feel free to drop your questions to the chat box, and we have already added you to a Teams group to keep you updated, and also we'll be sharing the link today. If you are not already added, please join using the link. And if we move to our first speaker, we have Kulanika Gnanarathna here to show you what is ITP and why ITP. Hello, Kulanika. Over
Hello,
to you.
Shadini. Thank you for the introduction. So, welcome to ITP Guide 2.0, to the introductory segment, What and Why ITP. So, before moving on to all the presentation slides, these are 2 questions that you would have. So, let's move on with the presentation. So, before moving on, we have, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Kulanika Gnanarathna, and I'm a 3rd year software engineering undergraduate and also a member of MS Club and a trainee software developer at IFS. So these are the contents that I would be sharing with you today. So why? Why is the question that occurs in your mind? Why ITP session? Why ITP? So when you first heard about the ITP project, this would have been your reaction. But it's all right to feel confused or clueless, but because we also were in that same position, and it's all right to feel that, and that's why we have ITP session for you. So moving on, so far you have done few sessions on a few projects on different technologies. So why projects? What's the purpose of having projects? Is it just to evaluate or assess you, or is it just to have some criteria to get the degree? Well, projects are an important part of a practical approach to learn about different technologies and theories that you have learned in your lectures. So one might ask, okay, that's practical approach. What about labs then? Doesn't it give a practical approach as well? So yes, it gives a practical approach as well, but it's also a bit guided. You have instructors, you have lecturers, and also you have a document that would guide you through the implementation of the code. But projects are different. In projects, you have to work alone. That means you will have different problems and you would have to go and face them alone, and then you will go and search them. So these are things that you would tackle on your own. Projects build self-confidence and helps you to know practical approaches that you can face. So that's in the university level. That's why it's so important in university level to have projects. But what about in the industry? In the industry, you are solving a lot of people's problems, like they bring change to businesses, communities, and various other parties. So in that case, you will have to have a lot of coordination in between and also a lot of management there, because it might directly or indirectly affect external parties. So now when you compare university level projects and also industry level projects, you would feel that, okay, there is a gap between them. That might be in terms of knowledge base, or that might be in terms of skills. There is a big difference there. So as a person who is going out to the industry, you will be wondering, okay, how are we going to acquire those skills or those knowledge base? And that's why we have ITP. So ITP, so the aim of ITP is to bridge the gap between university level projects and industry level projects. So that's why we call ITP the next level. So you are going to learn about why ITP is so special. Now you learned the reason why ITP is important, but why is ITP so special? You have done some other projects in your previous semesters, but what's the difference between ITP and those projects? So let's see. Now, with ITP, you would have had you would have come up with you would have associated with different keywords, such as a module, a project, a real world problem, a client, semester long. So all of these describe ITP. Yes, ITP is a module. It's a project. This means that it's a semester long project as well. And you would have to solve a real world problem. And you might also, it might be a real world problem, or it might be a problem that a client faces. So what sets ITP apart? What's so special about ITP? ITP is considered one of the most important and biggest projects that you would do before your final year research project. This means you would do an industry level project from its initial stages, like planning, gathering information, and to the final stages, such as successfully completing the project and giving it to the client. So that's why we call ITP the biggest project, because so far you have not done anything like that. You were given the requirements and also the general criteria of technologies so that you can use, and you just code it. But ITP is far from that, and it raises the standard for all the projects that you have done so far. ITP also prepares you for the real world. Now, as I told you earlier, there is a skill gap when and you are people who are going to the industry as interns, and then after you graduate from university, you will be going as you will be going in for jobs. So that means you will need the skills and experience to survive in this industry. So by doing ITP, you will gain those skills and experience, and Also, another advantage of ITP and why it's so special is that you can gain recognition. How would you do that? By successfully completing ITP and using different technologies, you would have gained the skills and experience. So that means you will gain the eye of recruiters because they would want more innovative people and also people who have the skills and experience. So that's why ITP is special. But then you would have the question, so how do I make ITP successful? So ITP can be made successful on how well you manage your project. It's not about just coding. It depends on how you plan and manage your project. So how do you manage your project? I hope that you remember this. This is the software development lifecycle. And this would have been brought up in your second year as well. This is the basic structure that any company, IT company, uses. So you will go through all of these stages in your project as well. And today, I will be focusing on some areas in planning and analysis, and also the other sessions would also touch on them. And also in other sessions, you would have design, implementation, going through those stages as well. So now, by now, you would have already formed teams and you would have 8 members. That means you have a lot of resources. If you divide the workload among your members equally, that means you can actually complete the ITP project successfully. So don't let what happens in this picture. So you will have one person who is going to work on it and the others would rest. No. Everybody should have an equal contribution, and that is how you can make ITP successful. So a tip for team leaders are the one who are going to drive and initiate the project. And you can always think about, if you're in the planning stage, think about, okay, what is the next step that we can take? And that's the requirement analysis. So you can always be a step ahead and think about, okay, what to expect. And also, by driving the project means that doesn't mean you should order. There should be equal contribution as well as responsibility among every member should be the same. And most importantly, identify the skills, strengths, and lacking areas of your team members. That means know your team correctly. By that, I mean you can actually, if someone is lacking in coding, let's say, you can always bring up some methods to gradually increase the level of that person, and you can actually help them come to a point where all the members of the team can work together. It doesn't mean that you have to teach everything, but you can bring them to a certain level where everyone is comfortable to work together. And also, after identifying skills and strengths, don't be biased according to that. That means if a person is very good at making presentations, don't let that person do the presentation alone. Get the involvement of everybody else and do the presentation, and help that person who is actually doing, who is good at presentation, guide the other members as well according to various design patterns. So don't be biased on that. And then the struggle that you face when you're being in a team is that everyone is unique and different. So not everyone will be on the same page, right? And there would be internal conflicts due to lesser likability among members. So try to come to a common ground where everyone is comfortable with each other and express your ideas and listen to ideas of others as well. So in that way, you can manage your team. Then this is the most trickiest question and the most asked question. How do you choose your project? Now, this was also one of the trickiest questions we had as well when we did ITP. And there is no real answer for this. You can have different approaches for this. And I will share you my experience on how we chose our project. So we pulled in ideas. We had different ideas. And one of our members came up with one idea. And that was through connections. He had a relative who knew a client who was facing a problem. So we ultimately chose that. So what I can say is that you can use your connections. That is kind of the best approach that I can give. And also maybe you can ask around, if there are problems they have faced, or they might be working in different industries and they might know people who face problems. Either you can take a real world problem, or you can find a client and get that client that problem as your project. So there are different ways in which you can tackle this problem, but and I would say there is no perfect answer for that. So try to maybe you can also Google and see. That would also be a good solution as well. And then you have a set of ideas. Now you must be thinking, okay, what is suitable for a project, or what is suitable, what idea is suitable to be the project. So then you can go through these 5 questions, and this is a set of questions that I found when I was searching online, and it was very beneficial for me as well. So first, ask yourself this question: do I have an idea? List down all the ideas that you had, and it might be a common idea, it might be just like not very innovative, but it's okay. Write all the ideas that you have down, and then after you have a collection of ideas, then move on to the second question: do I find the idea interesting? Now go through the ideas one by one and just see whether there is any idea that is interesting. There might be one idea, or there might be lots of ideas. So after shortlisting those ideas, you can move on to the third question: do others find the idea interesting? Now, this is the stage where you will go and tell your team members what are the ideas that you had. These ideas might be interested in, they would give in very good feedbacks on it, and they will discuss it. You will discuss it within your team. And if you want to be more sure, you can just go ahead and ask someone who is experienced as well to think what their idea is about all these problems that you have. And after finishing that stage, you can go to the fourth question. In this question, you can actually think about how these ideas can solve different problems in the industry. Now, all these ideas are accumulated through different sources, right? And they might be working in different fields. And you have to now the project that you are going to do should solve that problem. So make sure to select an idea which can make a contribution to the field or industry or solve that particular problem. And then move on to the fifth stage. This is a crucial question. So you might now have ideas. You've filtered through all these questions and you come to the final question. And here you have to think about the time and energy. Do I have the time and energy to do this, to make this idea or do this project? Here you can kind of think about all the coursework that you have, and also you will have other projects. So you need to think about the time constraint here. So this will be something that you need to think very clearly on, and you need to find a lot of time. You need to spend a lot of time on this question because you will be going through this for one semester. So if you can't complete, this contains a lot of marks as well. So if you can't complete this within the semester, it's no point of doing this project. So that's about how you can filter the ideas that you have. Then business functionalities. So for example, if you have, let's say you have a hotel. A hotel has different departments. These different departments might include finance, HR, and then lots of others like housekeeping. So each of these departments are essential for the business to run. So this means without one department, you won't, the hotel won't be able to run. So just like that, co-functionality, business functionality, very essential functionalities that will help you to carry out the business process. So if you are going to do a hotel management system, a co-functionality or a business functionality would be, let's say, housekeeping. And this housekeeping would have other operations as well. So when you are trying to choose your project, try to have business functionalities for every member. I think that is also the criteria of ITP. Every member should have business functionalities. So choose a project where everyone has different and everyone has business functionalities. So that's how you and this can be clearly defined. All the business functionalities will be clearly defined when you have a good picture about the process of the business. So before deciding on business functionalities, it's mandatory to go through the process of the current process of the business. So make sure to remember that, and we will move on to the next section, that is documentation. So up to now, you just only have to submit the project charter. And before moving on to the project charter, I would like to recommend something, and that is meeting notes. So when you're doing the project, you will have a lot of meetings. You will have meetings within the team, you will have meetings with the clients, and you will also have meetings with lecturers, like feedback sessions and things like that. So what you can do is you can have meeting notes for every meeting that you face. So you can have one person to write down the information. So why should you have meeting notes? The uh, the importance of meeting notes is that it is uh, more important to go and look back at or refer things that were done in meetings. Like there might be information that was passed, there might have been different criteria or any improvements that you would have to make in your project. So with time and workload, you might have forgotten these things. So it's better to have meeting notes so you can refer back and see what are the improvements that you can do. So moving on to the project charter. Now, project charter is a formal but very short document that will explain your project entirely. So before making the project charter, you should have a clear understanding about your project, about your client, if you have one, and also about the current processes that's happening in your, if it's, let's say, if it's a business, let's say a hotel management system, you're going to create a hotel management system. So when you're going to do that, have a good background study on the hotel, maybe talk a bit about the stakeholders, then what are the current processes that is happening. If you are trying to automate a business process or automate the functionalities in that hotel, how are they currently functioning, and also what are the problems that they face during this current process. If they can't manage their employee information, things like that. And then you would have to state your objectives here. This can be not, and this should be clearly thought, because with the time constraint, you might not be able to do everything. So try to list down the functionalities or the problems that you are going to address. And that's all about the project charter. And dealing with clients. So if you are doing a project with with clients, you need these tips to actually deal with them. So be polite and respectful. That's a common courtesy, because you're actually giving them a service, and it's always nice to be polite and respectful, and you can always avoid conflicts when you're being polite. And if suddenly you had conflicts, it would be a bad reputation on you and also the university as well, because ITP is going through the university as well. So try to be polite and respectful. Don't try to call them every time you get a question. Try to wait, accumulate your questions, then try to make them make a suitable time for them to go ahead and ask the questions, because they are working as well. So they might run businesses and do all sorts of things. So go ahead and ask them, but try to ask them after you accumulate some questions. And then make sure to hear out the client and understand their requirements. So if you are not clearly writing down the requirements or understanding them, you can't always go ahead and ask them again and again if the requirements are these. Are these the requirements? Have we missed one? We can't go and ask them like that. So don't go ahead and do that every time. But if you have some doubts, go and ask them and clarify them. But don't try to assume stuff and do. Then don't promise features and or a system that you can't produce. This means that you will have a limited time limit. You will have a limited time, and also this is just a semester-long project. And as a student, you will also have a limit, right? In the way you can produce the system or features. So try to think about that. So for example, our client actually wanted a web application and a website, but it was doable. So what we did was we completed the web application within the time frame, that is within the semester, and we told that we can give the website after the semester ends. So we defined a clear time period on that, and we discussed this with the client. So if you are able to do it, try to negotiate with the client and don't give wrong details, like you would give the system in this date, and if you are not able to do that, it leads to mistrust between the client and you, and it will also be a bad reputation. So try to use all these tips when dealing with clients. And we've come to the last part of this presentation, unleashing your creativity. Now, I've shared you some tips on managing your project, but how about being innovative? That's a good thing. Play with your topic, come up with more than just common topics like hotel management system, but try to remember that you have guidelines and criteria to be fulfilled. So there is a lot, there is so much room for you to be innovative. You can come up with features and you can play around your topic, right? But also have a balance between the criteria given, that is the guidelines that are given by your lecturer, and try to balance it out with being innovative. And the other tip is don't outsource. Like Sajitaya mentioned, don't outsource. This would not be useful for you, as well as it won't be, it would be a bad impression on your part, because you would not be getting anything out of ITP if you outsource your project from someone else. So be authentic, be true to yourself, and try to learn the technology and try to learn the new skills through doing ITP. So the reputation and dignity when you go out also, it's in your hands. So don't outsource your project. And the no mentality. We all have this mindset, right? We want to do something with the things that we know. But let's look at our IT industry. It's always evolving. We have new technologies, we have new tools, and this means that the trends change. So by the time what you are learning now might not be the trend in the industry when you go out from university. So that means you have to have a passion for learning new technologies to survive in the industry. So try to, it's not a must, but try to incorporate new technologies and new tools so that it is possible for you to gain new skills and new knowledge base through ITP as well. So, do you know what a sandbox is? A sandbox is kind of an isolated testing environment for you to execute programs that run on applications. And these sandboxes are like a safe environment. You can test programs, new code there. So software developers use it. So university is like your sandbox. That means you can test out new different things like technology, knowledge base, and tools there. So try to make the maximum use of this opportunity and try to grow with it. So what I have tried to cover through this presentation is why we have ITP and why it is so special, and also some project management tips. And also, don't take ITP so lightly. It's not something that you should be afraid of, but don't take it lightly. Without proper management and without proper commitment, you would not be able to make ITP successful. So try to have the commitment from early on itself. And thank you for listening in. Over to you, Shadini.
Thank you, Kulanika. That's a lot of details, and I'm pretty sure everybody was motivated and you know what is ITP now and what has to be done to make this project a success. Thank you so much.